Hey everybody, welcome back to the Quest for the Bestest. It's the podcast from Backlot Banter where we review every single Best Picture nominee. Today we're talking about the 10th and final Best Picture nominee for 2026. That would be Chloe Zhao's film Hamnet, starring Jesse Buckley, Paul Mescal, and we'll just shout out Jacoby Jupe. I almost did put L's in that name. There are no L's in Jacoby Jupe's name.
Nope, nor D's.
Nope, neither.
Jacoby.
This is a very interesting film, a period piece, and one that I'm excited to hear your thoughts on, that I myself have developed a few since I watched it the other night. Quickly, I will remind you of what we did last time, because we talked the action-packed, high-octane racing film, F1, and we had a very long discussion about the wins and the failures of that movie. And so it got a 7.5, tied with Begonia, but we deliberated and put it one spot below. So F1 is at the 8th spot on the list. Frankenstein at spot number 9. And today, Hamnet, we add the 10th film, but it might not go at the 10th place. You'll just have to keep tuned in here to see where we decide to put it. During our average, our scoring segment. I will also say that we're going to talk Oscars a little bit towards the end of the episode, so stick around for to hear a little bit of thoughts and opinions on the rest of the ceremony. But I will just hand it quickly off to Abram here, who's going to do our featured comments section, and then we will get right in and discuss Chloe Zhao's Hamnet.
Every once in a while, I like to go over to the old BLB channel and see what people are commenting over there, and there's always something if you wait long enough. And so today we're going back to our review of The English Patient.
Okay.
Great.
Anthony Minghella The English Patient.
Just one. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Just 1 month ago, Maya Ruins commented, "Coming into this video very late, but I agree, it is a desert movie. I kind of feel like the desert story is an analogy for the movie itself, in that you have map markers literally charting the unknown, just as Amasi, Catherine, Hannah, and Kip are discovering their love and attraction for each other." I don't remember a single goddamn thing of that.
We have all these characters.
No. I'm putting pieces together. I'm pretty sure Kip was he was the guy who was the bomb diffuser, and he was like kind of suave.
Pretty sure Catherine is probably Juliette Binoche, and Max Mercer, was it Matt Mercer?
No, probably
video
not.
game voice actor.
Yep, that's right.
I think that was Ray Fiennes.
Yeah, probably. Good job, guys.
Maya,
I have thought often about
you.
us doing a Best Picture trivia thing where we try to piece together what were the characters' names in Broadway Melody?
Yeah, it's like facts that we actually all said ourselves during the episode. Yes, but many years have passed.
Things that we knew.
Things we knew.
If we need a game show, Tucker, you've got one right there. Thank you. Was there any more to the comment, Abram? Any more you wanted to add?
What do you think?
Which good ideas.
No, I
deserve
just wanted
recognition.
to just want to shout out Maya. Thanks, Maya.
Yeah, astute observation, Maya.
Yes.
You're probably right about that. English Patient, not a film that we liked or that we seem to remember very well, but I'm sure that's a good observation.
You know what I do like?
Nonetheless.
I like the Seinfeld episode about The English Patient.
Arguably more famous than The English Patient.
Well, let's talk about a film that I don't really know where it's ranking up on the famous scales, but is a film that's nominated for Best Picture. Hamnet. Tanner, give us the rundown on what the plot of Hamnet is.
Certainly. So this film takes place in the 17th century in Great Britain. It concerns some characters, one of whom you might have heard of. But our protagonist, our main character, is Agnes. A woman who, lives a provincial, 17th century British life. She is a falconer. She is sort of an earthy, witchy kind of personality. She spends a lot of time out in the forest. She knows
very cottagecore
herbs and spices. Very cottagecore. Thank you, Tucker.
It's a shorthand,
She very quickly encounters a Latin teacher by the name of, hang on, let me check my notes here a second. William Shakespeare is this guy's name.
Weird name.
I don't know.
Billy Shakes.
But they begin, Billy Shakes, that's right. They begin a love affair that eventually gets accepted by at least one of their families. Agnes gets pregnant, and very soon a tragedy befalls them when one of their children succumbs to an ongoing plague or disease. The rest of the film largely concerns William and Agnes trying to cope with this tragedy, with their child's death, in differing ways, and we'll get to talking about that.
And so I want to hand it to our noted scholar of Shakespeare. And I am making fun of you, Tucker. I'm sorry, but I want to hand it off to Tucker to begin this one. And if you wouldn't mind, to educate our audience, preface a little on your thoughts and your histories of Shakespeare, because I think this is important to understand for our audience as much as you are willing, and what you thought about the movie. You know, that's important too.
More importantly, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree. More importantly, yeah. I'm not a big fan of Hamnet. For me, it's easily the weakest of the 10 films because I just think that on a character level, there's not a lot going on. I was really taken aback by how much this movie places emphasis on melodrama rather than depth or development for our characters. I think that it was a bad sign in sort of the opening section of the movie when before doing anything, before getting to know one another, they snog in a door frame about 30 seconds after meeting one another, and that really set me in a bad place. I was sitting there and I was like, I can't buy your drama after this point. Set up for a character, getting the meet cute. It's very, very important for a romance, for a dynamic, and I feel this movie totally eschews believable or engaging character dynamic just to hit the points that are they meet, they fall in love, yada yada yada. Okay, they get married, yada yada yada. Kids, yada yada yada, and then drama and
sad. Yeah,
and that to me is pretty weak storytelling. And so I was very much not engaged by Hamnet on its own merit of the way that it paces its story points and the way that it writes its characters. I think rather simplistically. I was quite disappointed by Will's character in general, and that he's kind of just an absentee dad, and I'm like, that's not that interesting. I know there are more interesting elements to this person and this who the character is based on, but the movie's not particularly concerned with that. And so, yeah, I just think that this is very simplistic and very it's just too simple for my taste. I'm like, I want more texture. I want some themes. It doesn't really talk about much other than relationship dynamics, and I'm thinking that it doesn't really do much with that either. But the other unfortunate part, and this certainly colors my impressions, is that I am personally not a fan of Shakespeare's writing style, the way that the actual great poet, what the great scholar,
the bard,
the great bard.
Yeah.
But and that does color my impressions in that when I've reviewed films in the past that are based on Shakespeare works, some more directly, some less directly, I find such a distaste for that style that it's a rather intense response on my end. And this movie ends with 20 minutes of straight up Shakespeare, and that really killed any investment that I had in it because I found the ending to be so personally distasteful. Not because it was like inappropriate, but I just was very, very, I disliked it so strongly that this movie kind of has a very, very low parabola of my engagement.
Yeah, it sounds like you had a rough time with the onboarding and offboarding of the movie, which are two very important parts of a film.
Yeah. And it's really, for me, it's a writing issue. Because I think the cast does a great job. I think production value is all there. The score is pretty good. I really like the color grading, a lot of good shot composition, all of the earthy tones of it. Production, all there. But on a writing side, I don't think there's a lot to grab onto here. And then pile on the fact that this is in from a source that I notoriously dislike and strongly dislike.
Tucker hates Maggie O'Farrell.
No, I'm not a fan of Hamlet.
Tanner, you earned your keep. What's your thoughts on this film?
I think Hamlet is quite good. This is my second time watching it. I watched it back in theaters towards the beginning of December when it was hitting its award season stride. It was like, okay, guys, here it is. Here's the movie that's getting everybody worked up, and the waterworks are flowing. Theaters across the country. It has been the whole fall festival season.
That's what I heard when it was coming out too. That was the line that reached my ears. I wonder how that happened.
Everything that I heard was just like, this is the saddest movie you'll ever see in your entire life. And
Yeah, yeah.
Can we count? How many fingers would it take for the four of us to count the amount of tears shed across the four of our viewings? Any tears from anyone? It's a genuine question. A tear.
Yeah, yeah. That's 5 fingers. That's 5
That's
fingers.
5
He shed
tears.
5 tears.
That's 5 tears. He measured them. He eyedroppered them off of his face. And be like, what?
But no, I watched this and I was surrounded by people, some close acquaintances even watching it that first time that were emotionally affected by this. We're getting the sniffles, we're getting the waterworks going. It just doesn't do that for me. I think it's an accomplished film in a great many regards. That I'm just not over the moon about, but I think it's very good. I have deeper thoughts and things I notice a little bit more of this time on a rewatch that I'd like to get into. But on the whole, I would say thumbs up for Hamnet. Certainly not amongst my favorite films nominated this year. And because I think it's such a good crop, it's actually going to end up closer to the bottom for me.
Abram, I want to hear what your thoughts are, and then I will round us out.
Yeah, I found it very affecting. I found it very, very affecting. I found it very beautiful. The ending did get me quite significantly. I do fall on that side of things. I think that, to me, what makes the movie work so well is Jessie Buckley, who gives an astounding performance, and I think that the whole film is organized in a way to give her the space to be as good as she is and really suture me to her and her emotional position in the film. Because I think that what it did for me that was really affecting was have me angry at Paul Mescal's Shakespeare the way that
tough thing for Abram to do. Tough thing.
for many reasons.
Uh-huh.
And I think that the ultimate trick that the film played on me is that, much like Jessie Buckley's Agnes, by the end of the film, I was really caught up in the emotional reverence and catharsis of the performance of Hamlet, much in the way that Jessie Buckley's character was. And it sort of resolves my own feelings on how Paul Mescal was allowed to be or not be in the film. So I actually found it to be very effective and affecting.
Yeah.
So now I'm in a very interesting place because I actually agree a lot with Abram and I agree a lot with Tucker because I think this is a very emotional movie. I think the core of our film is in Agnes. They kind of don't say the G in this one too much, but
True.
in her
Anus.
To be clear, Shakespeare was married to a woman named Anne Hathaway. And so obviously Maggie O'Farrell and then down the road Chloe Zhao was like, well, we can't name the character Anne Hathaway. That's just going to pull every audience member in America out of the film. So we changed her name.
They kind of say Agnes.
Agnes.
That's kind of what they go
that's
for.
how they say it.
That's like as in the Varda.
True.
Anya's
True.
Varda.
That's
a film reference for you guys.
In case you didn't catch it. Her grief is I think the central idea of this movie. How she deals with it, how Will, who's not around, deals with it. How that is both is expressed, and we get to see it a lot. Fuller in Agnes as she's doing the duties of child rearing, and I find that both this film being directed by Chloe Zhao as a filmmaker we've looked at before, I'm looking for the how women are coming across in this movie, and I think that's like the thing that I'm really tying into, especially like we know. Tanner, you said in the description, you said 1700s. Is the book like set anachronistically to Shakespeare? Because I think he was writing in the 1200s, right? Like he's a lot older English than.
Did I get my Shakespeare period wrong? I guess I probably did that. Yeah.
That's the Occam's razor.
Whatever. You're closer than you were far. But like this
Fair enough.
olden time England, not all that nice to its women. We know this, and so I'm very curious to see like how our characters get to flourish and are impressed upon our female characters by this. But I agree with Tucker that like it's kind of shallow. It doesn't really dive a lot into the depths of especially Will's character, but Agnes's character is so wrapped up in this grief idea and the fact that the plot to me doesn't really have too many points. Like there's only a couple things that happen. They matter incredibly a lot to Agnes, the birth of her 3 children and the death of one of them, but those scenes essentially act as star vehicles for Jessie Buckley. Like she's able to, by the virtue of what is that? Like she gives birth in the forest, she gives birth in the house, and then her child dies. Like these are. Could you imagine a more emotional moment for a woman to go through in her life? Like maybe not. And so, by the virtue of what the setting is and what the plot is, we get these incredibly emotional moments. Jessie Buckley does amazing. I'll tip my hand. I think probably the front runner for Best Actress. Um,
Yes,
and like this film is carried on her back, and she does a very good job.
certainly.
But it doesn't leave me with quite enough, really. I was dissatisfied by the end. I like watching this Hamlet play. I like picking out, Hamlet
Yeah.
lines. Oh, Old Globe Theatre. Like, I went to London once. I went to the Old Globe Theatre. It's very
Hey,
cool to be
oh,
like,
wait, hold on.
Oh,
Where's Judi Dench?
yeah,
Is she up there?
yeah.
Hold on.
Where is she?
I actually was thinking I was watching with a friend. I'm like, can you imagine if Judi Dench was just up there
Dame
just like for like a
Judi Dench.
second, just for a second?
Oh.
Whoa.
And so I'm like
by the-
disposed
sorry.
to kind of like the ending, but I found it it like pushed me away. Like it really pushed me away from like watching the phone. I really watching the phone. I watched the phone at parts during the end of the film as opposed to the film. Which is
Whoa.
not a good sign. I
Freudian
like,
slip.
movies that grab me, I don't look at my phone when I'm watching them at home. And so
Speaking of bad theater,
Yeah,
etiquette, I mean, blow my stack a little early on the joke there, but I mean, just some truly brutal theater etiquette from Agnes.
Oh, yeah.
at the end of the
truly
movie.
brutal,
Crazy.
truly brutal. And stuff like that makes me cringe. So yeah, I think I'm a mixed bag
Yeah.
on this one. I'm a little bit more negative than I
Reminds
am.
me of this current state of AMC theaters. Am I right, fellas?
Hello. Also, I do need to defend my honor a little bit. I had to do a quick Google because William Shakespeare was born in 1564, so
And he lived for 120 years? What?
late 16th, early 17th century. In my
the century.
defense,
Oh,
I
okay,
think it's in 1700s, though.
did I? Well, that would be yeah. Well, anyway, I meant to say 17th century.
So yeah,
Anyways,
there we have it. Mixed bag for me. I want to get into it some more. Tucker, you got an area of discussion to launch us into. One point or another about this film that interests you, and we should talk about.
Yeah, I think the most interesting element of the movie to me is Anya's as a character, and she has this backstory that the movie is like pretty concerned with, especially for the first half of it. That she's an outcast in some way. They keep saying her mother was a witch and she was born in the forest. I don't know how much of it is true, but this is the story that is either accurate about her or has been thrust upon her. And she carries this relationship with nature that I think is, to me, easily the most interesting character point in the entire film. I think that these sequences of her isolation and connection to the wilderness and to animals and to herbs and flowers, and the way that she passes this down to her children and shares a shared love of this with her brother through childhood memories. I think that as the movie straight up just starts with her in a forest with a hawk. I think that that's really interesting, and I think it again is the most interesting character element of the film, and how that contributes to her distance from many of the other characters in the movie. We never really see her. I guess we basically never see her like go to town and do things until she goes to the theater at the very end, or at least it's very infrequent. And again, I think that it creates most of the best moments of imagery in the film. With moss and trees and gardening and things of the like. That sort of earthy tone of the movie, I think, is for me what I will most take away from it, and the way that creates this very interesting character dynamic for Agnes that increases her isolation and sort of a pressure on her that other women in the film who we don't know very much about don't also have, because they are all judging her, and so I think that's my favorite part of the film, frankly, is Agnes, her backstory, and how that impacts her dynamic with the natural world.
I think about this shot that they like to come back to of that cave in the woods. And I
Yeah.
really like this moment where I apologize.
It's the cave from Together.
Mhm.
There.
True.
The thing where it's actually a shot of Will looking down into the cave, and he's looking into it, and then it
Yeah.
like quickly like he like looks away, he like snaps out of it. It's almost like this primordial force that is a little too much to comprehend or to deal with. And the idea that Agnes is like born of the forest, like her mother came from the forest, and there's a we spend the first 2/3 of the movie questioning where her mother came from, and there's a sort of not a suitor.
Flashback.
Yeah, there's a flashback, but there's like a surrogate
Oh.
mother that has been assigned to her that she's like, you're not my mom.
Oh yeah, well because her father, her mother died.
Mhm.
Obviously,
In
her mother
childbirth.
died, and her father clearly got remarried.
Yeah.
When she was young.
And so that like that essence that this backstory is instilling in Agnes's character, and just the reinforcement of it. I especially, I think my favorite scene in the movie is the first time that she gives birth in the woods. I just am like, I think it's so right that her character decides to go back to that place for this
Yeah.
birth, and I found that very satisfying and very like, I don't know, it brought in all those pastoral elements and some essence of female experience, of the experience of a woman in this time. And yeah, I thought that was a very powerful moment. And then we get to by the time we're in the second birth, and she's like, no, I'm not going to go out in the woods. But that's when we have that realization about what happened to her mother. She remembers this very early memory of hers. That's a very painful memory of seeing her mother die in childbirth. And of course, that causes a lot of mental anguish for her as she is currently giving
Mhm.
birth to twins. Um, yeah, that's a very
We got twins.
I agree with you, Tucker. This is a very
Twins! That's a Twisters reference. Hell yeah, bro.
There you go.
very interesting aspect of her character.
Mm.
Abram, Tanner, you have thoughts you want to
Yeah,
add to
yeah.
it, or something else you want to talk?
Am, are you muted?
I guess I am.
Yeah, I feel,
There we go.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
I figure I don't need to cough into the mic, but sometimes I, can't unmute.
Cough away, pal.
Oh,
We're in the 21st century. You cannot transmute the plague from us to us over the digital world.
I can't give you pestilence as much as I'd like to.
No,
Oh, God.
I find that when we talk about the way that this film is written, when we're talking about the way that the characters are portrayed, I think a lot of it is wordless. I think a lot of it is imagery. I think a lot of the storytelling isn't in the script, in the dialogue. Get a little one. And
That's a treat.
a
A little pestilence. Sprinkle it down.
I'm really interested in this idea that I'm still working through about where people are born and where people die and how people continue on after death. And I think that this very spiritual connection that Agnes has to the natural world is very critical for understanding her philosophy for what happens after death. And I think a lot about the sort of moment when they're giving a funeral to her falcon after it's died. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that scene contains a lot of, I think, what makes this movie so special. One is just simply the composition and color grading of the body of this hawk that's been sort of encircled by offerings and tokens, and the family is crouched over it. And then we have this like rite that Agnes is performing, much like some of the rites we see earlier in the film. But this one is particular, and this one is helping her and specifically her children, be connected to this bird, this part of their family after it's passed on. And we obviously see Hamnet relying on that as he too is passing on, and he is calling up to the falcon, and he's looking for the falcon, and his father sees it
Mhm.
as well when he comes back to find his son's corpse. And so I think that, Tucker, I think you're right to point us first to Agnes's connection to the natural world, because if obviously the film is trying to illustrate how Shakespeare grieves and pays tribute to the life and memory and essence of his son, I think that it's through her connection to nature, that Agnes does the same for many different living things, and for her family heritage as well, because there's this very haunting moment that I also appreciate when she's sort of recounting the story of her life and generations of women stepping out of the woods, and we see them emerge from the same cave that we're mentioning. I think that this imagery is very critical to what Agnes is doing, literally in the narrative, and what her character's philosophy on grief and on remembering the people you lose. I think it's very critical and tied to this imagery as well.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously there is just a lot of equivalency drawn between Agnes and her character being attributed to like the divine feminine as a like philosophical ideal, or the natural world, sort of an equivalency built between her as a like mother nature kind of figure. I just think of that opening shot that we've referred to a couple of times is almost like her being born out of the forest. I mean, we see her sleeping, sort of lying in the fetal position, next to this cave that seems to birth her, but also seems to be a symbol of death, almost of darkness, of the unknown. That which is why our characters are sort of hypnotized by it over and over again. Agnes is, and then William is, of course, and he sort of snaps out of it and clearly seems shaken by whatever he sees down there, or whatever he conceives to be represented by this. And I really quite like the parallels, the visual parallels that are drawn. I think Chloe Zhao is very adept at drawing your eye to the images, as Abram was referring to here. Visual storytelling. I just think of this darkness amidst all the greenery and the natural world that I was just referring to, and how that is almost directly juxtaposed at the end, um, with Hamnet, sort of his ghost, that we see at the very end of the film, sort of being enveloped by the darkness of going into this doorway on the stage of the Globe Theater. It's surrounding that doorway that is very that basically immediately turns to shadowy darkness, is the painted on plants and shrubbery and everything like that. Sort of this facsimile, this man-made representation of the natural world that William, envelops himself in, yeah, as his form of coping mechanism. So I just think there's really good visual storytelling ideas like that across this film. That is, all underlining the very clear messaging and thematics and arc of this story that is about these two people who have a wedge driven between them, driven into their marriage by this horrible, horrible tragedy, the worst thing that can happen to parents. Um, and both of them, in their own ways, coming to recognize what each needs to get over this kind of thing. I think you see Agnes recognize that healing a lot more for William than he potentially does for her, just because he is absent from their home a lot more, which may lend itself to the points that Tucker was making about some shallowness in the writing, or maybe some lack of material here. But I think William also, I don't know. Do you guys think he? What do you guys think? What do you guys make of him as like a husband? Like, is he a good husband? Does he like know what Agnes needs, or is he mostly like, I know what I need, and so I need to go there, and I need to get that?
My
Agnes is obviously very in tune to his needs. At the beginning of the film, she is like, listen, this guy is gonna like lose his marbles if he has to stay out here with me. Like, Joe Alwyn, need to tell his father that he can go to London, otherwise he's gonna explode out here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you explain it to me. The what I kind of don't really feel that like pull back to London, like that in the performance, I guess, of Shakespeare's, that he needs to. I see it later in the movie where he's after. Um, I don't know if it's when Hamnet has died yet or not, but like
Hmm.
the fist pounding on the desk scene at night, right? That is clearly
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
his work is the outlet for the grief, and the work must be done in the theater. And so, at least to me, I see this kind of, you have your female, your nature side, and you have your male and your urban or town side, I guess I'll say. Um, yeah, he's shown to be, of course he's Paul Mescal really pulls it off very well. He's charismatic and loving, and his kids
Uh-huh.
really like him. And little Hamlet really wants to join with and be in the theater troupe, and they have that very, very warming scene of them together, like fighting with the swords.
Yeah.
But I'm still not fully bought in. I hear your explanation for the at the beginning of the movie, but like thinking to my experience watching the rest of it, like it didn't strike me the importance of him leaving enough. That he
I'll
really
tell you.
had
I'll tell you why I
no
think that is.
option. Please do. Why did you think that was?
Because
What'd you say, Tucker?
I said I think I'll tell you. I'll tell you why I think that is, and I think this
Okay.
is with the beginning parts of the movie where I realized that I was going to have a very difficult time becoming emotionally invested in the progress of this relationship. Is that I think that Anya's trying to convince her brother and Will's family that he should go and explore his art is the most interesting push and pull character dynamic moment in the film for me. Because to your point, it's her understanding him on a very deep level and seeing something that he hasn't even fully admitted yet. But the reason
Mhm.
why I find that very interesting, I think it's an interesting character moment. But the movie skips to that because they meet, we barely see them date or do anything, and then they get married, boom. And then they
Hand-fasted, Tucker. They get
they're
hand-fasted.
she's pregnant when they get married. We skip.
Yep.
Baby is born. We skip. Baby's 6, and
Uh-huh.
then around that point, she's just says he's got to go. And, she feels like he needs to go to London. This kind of stuff. We've barely seen him do any writing up to this point. We're aware that he does it. We have not spent enough time with him to realize that this is an element of his personality that he never says that he wants to go off and do this. We hand wave away all this stuff because it's Shakespeare. He goes to London and writes the plays and becomes the great bard. And I'm just no, spend some time on this stuff. Spend some time on them getting to know one another. What's their early marriage like? I want to see Anya's adapt to his family because there's a lot of tension there, but we kind of just skip past that. There's so much stuff here that we just establish and then move on from so quickly that even this, as I mentioned, interesting character push and pull. I could have wanted that to be the middle act of the movie where it's he doesn't want to admit that he wants to leave because he wants to be there for his family, but she's trying to convince him. I'm this is fascinating stuff. But then it's just another boop, and he's off to the winds, and I'm
yeah. There's a lot of ellipses that happen, especially in this first act.
And I think that's very, very weak writing, and it really harms the investment I'm able to have when he's gone. Because I'm I don't feel like I know these people well enough, and I certainly don't feel like I know their dynamic together well enough to truly understand the absence of him, because he's a character that we get so little from.
I think for me, I think it's about the father, the paternal relationship
sure.
between Will and his father, and then this maternal relationship between Agnes and her mother. And I think that in these relationships, we see two different people formed. We come to understand that Agnes is traveling a life path very similar to her mother's, in this sort of refrains of philosophy about this route that she learned from her mother about following her heart from her mother. There's this moment after she gets pregnant, which I think is really nicely constructed, where we have a young Agnes and her mother is sort of explaining about the world, these ideas that Agnes then carries forward. And for me, what a lot of that early portion of the movie is doing is making me understand that Agnes is a person who is very much indebted to and is as empathetic as she is because of her mother. On the other side, I think we see this very hostile relationship between Shakespeare and
This
his
is
father.
key. I think this is key.
And in that relationship, we're seeing a physical and mental dressing down of William's aptitudes and abilities. And he becomes very distant, and I think we see the product of two very different types of parents. And I think because this film is tying us so closely to Jesse Buckley's Agnes, this character that we come to know as somebody who has this like almost like preternatural understanding of people. It is
That's a
through.
pewter dollar word, by the way, and I mean
Thank
that
you
in a
very
positive
much.
way.
A
Preternatural.
pewter
Like,
dollar word. Give me a break.
that's not a good thing, right? I just wanted to say something silly.
One
Easy.
pound
Yeah.
sterling.
So I think between the work that the film does to make you understand the person that Agnes became because of her mother, and then the
Mhm.
person that William has been beaten into, but then is afraid of becoming because of his father. There's even the moment when he is drunk and afraid, and really interestingly lit in the bottom of this very big black frame, swallowing him as he's fearful that he's becoming a violent man. I think the film gives us the pieces, from my point of view, to understand how Agnes understands that he must go away. And then the absence, I think, is a function of this film's perspective and interest in making us stay very close to Agnes and very distant from William, because I think we need that distance from him to sort of accept the offering of Hamlet the way that Agnes does at the end of the film.
Yeah, and to Timo's point about like the role of women, which is something that informs obviously a lot of the drama here. I think that you see while she grows frustrated with Will, which all lends itself to the real sort of animus that exists between them in the second and especially the third act. I think you get a logical motivation for that based on her giving him that freedom and allowing, sort of wanting that for him. While at home, she is continually put in this box, especially by his family. Where when she is about to give birth to the twins, she wants to go out to the woods to do that, like how when she gave birth to Susanna, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
the oldest.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. That Will is sort of shaken by the idea of her going out to the woods to give birth to their first child, but like seems to get over it fairly quickly. After that, he's like, okay, well, baby's fine. Let me look into this dark abyss of a pit for a little bit, and okay, I'm
That's
out of
enough of
here.
that.
That's kind of how that sequence goes. He's absent for the birth of the twins, and he's in London, and Emily Watson's character, Will's mother, like has to stop Agnes from going out in this torrential downpour where like the river is overflowing, and she's like she sees the water coming into their home that she's been forced to give birth in, and she's like, Will is dead in the river, like he warned me about this, and this is a sign that he's died in the river. Like she's going through it, to put it lightly, I would say, in this moment. And then she thinks that she loses the second twin that is born, the Judith, when she is not breathing when she comes out. But then she makes this pledge to Judith that like, I will not let anything happen to you. So there's almost a deeper bond between Agnes and the twins, especially in this moment, because of the circumstances that they were born in and the closeness that she feels to at least to one of them, almost losing him immediately. Which is obviously feeds into then the grand tragedy of, you think Judith is sick and going to die, and then it's Hamnet, in fact. And it also lends itself to a little bit of like the classic sort of nuclear family gender conflict of like, dad's back from work and all the kids like, yay, dad's back, let's go like climb all over him, while meanwhile mom is here doing the labor, doing the work, day in day out, spending time with the kids day in day out. There's that sort of animus that exists between Agnes and Will as well.
Mm-hmm. I do. I mean, I really keep returning to the births in this movie as like the kind of the the two pieces of it that like just from a viewing experience really affect me. But I think when I think about grief as it's represented in when Hamnet dies, but the fact that the we get like the doses of that and the paranoia in this scene when the water's coming in. That Buckley, I'm not exactly sure where to go with this, to be honest, but that
Mm,
the the proximity to this pain, physical pain of giving birth, and then the emotional pain of the stillborn child, and then the emotional high of it being alive, and then we move forward, and then the kids have pestilence, and that kind of the switcheroo that we have when they the day prior, everybody in the house thinks that Judith is going to die, and then the next morning it's that Hamnet is there, and how Hamnet's character almost like the way in which he dies in this that image of him dying is seared so profoundly into Agnes's brain of him in agony, him screaming. And if we just think about the commonalities between the giving birth scenes, the creating life scenes, and how
hmm
for Agnes, I mean, I haven't heard a much more powerful scream in a movie. She gives it. She gives
Sure.
three good yells that are just like, you rarely ever
hmm
have a moment where it calls for such a thing. And I mean, I'm just being like, they didn't have painkiller, they didn't have, the bacteria going crazy.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of all these like stupid implications of it
The re-
being
yeah
the
the re-
1500s or
the
whatever.
the facts of life or whatever. I have a question regarding
Mhm.
that. Because as I think it was Timo who alluded to this. Jessie Buckley is basically winning, Best Actress prizes this season in just walk-on wins, basically. They might as well just give it to her at the top of the show with how these things are
Hey,
going.
hold your tongue. They just might.
They just might. But to that end, I was going to ask you guys, given that, or you don't have to put it in the context of the award season or whatever, but like she's being celebrated for this performance, and a lot of it is, in my mind, and I don't mean to be reductive or anything like that, because there is a lot of like screaming and crying and grief and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, which doesn't do a whole lot for me with this character or generally performance wise. I just wanted to know what you guys make of that as like a through line to the performance. Obviously, there are other dimensions to it. I guess arguably depending on your feelings, but like that side of things, does that do a lot for you guys? With this performance, is that what like riles you to your core and really informs the character with you, or is it different dimensional aspects that you think inform what is being regarded as one of the best female performance of the year, at least?
I mean, I'll say
I
that
think the
those.
reason
Oh, Tucker, you go ahead. I've been chatting too much.
um I think the reason for me why this movie doesn't make me cry is just that I don't buy the characters. I think that they aren't particularly interesting. I don't think their dynamics are particularly interesting. And so what I'm left with is uh and to be fair, to whatever way this comes across, this is also how I feel about a lot of characters in Shakespearean actual Shakespeare plays or
Mm,
adaptations of Shakespeare plays. They feel like um caricatures are the very basic version of a character. And to me, although I do admit, as I mentioned and we opened up, I like the sort of nature side of the character of Anya's. After sort of after the halfway point of the movie, I feel that the sort of natural element fades into the background a little bit more as we're focusing more on the children. Um, and so what I'm left with, especially in the second half of the film, are these moments of extreme pain and extreme grief and sadness. And I I struggle to see much more than I know that it is sad to lose a child and it is very difficult to go through this because I don't feel that I know this person on a deeper level and don't have enough layers of her personality. Uh, I I can't be impacted by this. I look at it and I know that writing has happened and character is sad and she is screaming on the screen. But I've mentioned this in other reviews. I mean, setup is just so important to me, and that buy-in is so important. And these characters feel so simple and alien to me that when they go through major moments of grief, I can't buy into it. And so I think that's why another reason why this movie doesn't will not stick with me is that yes, Jessie Buckley's given her all. I have no qualms with her performance, frankly, at all.
Yeah,
But
same
on
here.
a writing side, it's so shallow to me that these moments feel trite. They feel unearned. And so I watch this. I'm like, yes, this is what's happening, but it does not go deeper than that.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I find it so for me there was this feeling while watching where I was waiting. I was like kind of guarding my heart. I'm like, well, okay, when is am I going to encounter the moment
Mhm.
that it affects me the way that has been foretold that it might.
Yes.
And it's not,
The way the prophecy
of
foretells,
course.
you will cry during Hamlet.
And it's not as she is screaming. It's not in the depth
Mm.
of that moment. For me, it's when she reaches out her hand to the Hamlet performer.
Yes.
And that was just like, all right, it's just like somebody hitting me in the back of the head with a cricket bat. Then it's like,
Sure.
it's all over for me
And I
now.
put my phone down in that
Sure,
moment, and I
sure.
was like, I'm back in. I was
Uh-huh.
like, movie's good
I'm
again,
locked
baby.
in.
No, not that harsh, but yes, yeah, you're right, Abram. This is very affecting. So much of like understanding. I mean, please go ahead if you have more. But
Well, yeah, I think because for me, there is this there's a sense of profound emptiness that comes over me as she's holding the body of Hamnet, because I think what is so interesting about her character is the way that she constructs spirituality. Because there's this moment
the
when
line,
mhm,
where
there's this
she,
moment
yeah,
when it appears that that it appears that Judith is dead, and one
Mhm.
of the maids says to her, "Your child has gone to heaven," and she says something in response to the effect of, I have gone into your church,
Oh,
but I
yes.
refuse to
Yes.
say a
critical.
word."
This is critical.
Mhm.
Hmm.
She made that vow when her mother died. Is
Yeah.
a more critical part of that line. Yeah.
Which means that she is, to be also literal about it, but like not really down with Christianity, not really down with organized church, and
Sure.
more with
Yeah.
this spiritual, maybe pagan, maybe just
Mhm.
vibes of the forest
Yeah.
kind of reading on the spiritual world, of which,
Sure.
is able to put it into practice. Like she whistles up at the bird and she sends all the memories up to the falcon. So it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I would call that organized religion at a bare minimum.
Yeah, and I think that to me, this wisdom and this sensitivity in her character, when I'm seeing her holding her convulsing son and throw salt under his back and this
Yeah.
rock under the pillow and trying to get him to swallow these herbs and potions, and this futility that is sort of damning her in her worldview, I think sort of empties me out. And I think that Jessie Buckley is able to indicate that sense of helplessness very beautifully, that is then reaffirmed by her anger at this remark from Will when he returns home and says, "You did everything you can." And she's like, "You don't have any idea." And there's a part of her performance
Mm.
that I see in there that connects me back to this line about church and connects me back to her ability to heal Will at the beginning of the film. And
Yeah.
these concoctions she had there so resilient, it fails her. And so to me that sort of hollows me out. But then what really cracked me apart was her reaching out of the hand, and
Yeah.
the way that in that moment, this token from Will, this play, she came to understand him a little bit better and what
Mhm.
he needed to do to pay tribute to his son, and in some ways prove that Hamnet meant to him as he meant to her.
Mhm.
And that just really I found to be extremely powerful. That simple gesture,
Yeah.
and then the way that that sequence is composed, as we then move the camera and we see all of these hands reaching forward, and we understand that William is doing for people what Agnes is doing for her
And
immediate
and
family.
it's almost like everybody else in the crowd. This was the moment that I was like, "Ooh, second AD should get the Oscar for this moment." In that second AD directs the extras. They're all like
Mhm.
bawling their eyes out. They're all crying. They're all going crazy. And yet Agnes is upright and her head is straight ahead. And she's in every scene like this, she's wearing red, and everybody else is wearing like muted browns and stuff.
Mhm.
But so we're always
Right,
looking at
right.
her. But the fact that she's putting her arms forward, everybody else is putting their arms forward. But yeah, like you're exactly right, Abram. That she sees in the moment the communication and the universalizing of this grief and of this horrible moment that like she kind of gets Hamlet at the play Hamlet as the token of and
Uh-huh.
this kind of re-imbuing of the
She
life
understand-
force. She gets the play. She understands what it means.
She understands what understands what a play is. It kind of seems, first of all, it's like she's been,
Yeah, she doesn't understand at the
there's
beginning.
there's a little bit of comedy, I feel, to this whole like her walking in and me like, what's going on here? What's going on?
What has my
She's like-
gat
and
bang
he's
husband
like,
been up to these
"My name-
15 years?
My name's Hamlet," and she's like, "Don't say my son's name." He's like, "All right, just joke." But,
I gotta jump in on
um,
that though, because I think that in like maybe it's just this sort of exaggeration of her emotionality in the moment and her
mhm.
unfamiliarity with culture.
Yeah,
But I
This
found
is
that
probably the first
I
time
found
that-
that so fucking corny. Like it's like I don't buy this. Like she's an intelligent person. She's a kind person. The amount
Yeah, I can
to
see
which
that.
she's like reacting to these things and be like, "Don't say my son's name." It's like I don't think she's stupid enough to say that, and so I'm just rolling my eyes.
I'm like, I mean, I
It's
agree
very
with you.
difficult for
I
me.
agree with you. I find it corny, but I'm also like, I don't know. She's maybe never been to a play before, and she, this is the nerve. This is the one that's gonna get her, right? Her son who died, like, and so I cringe just that, like, I just cringe when people do this in real life. It makes me so, angry. But also I get this good old secondhand embarrassment, right? Because I'm like, man, you making a fool of ourselves, and
Uh-huh.
everybody hates you, right? And so for me, it's kind of that. It's the progression. It's the transformation during the scene of her characters going from, yeah, maybe it's a little exaggerated, uncultured, don't know how to act in a play,
Yeah.
to this like deep, both understanding of the medium and understanding of her husband's the way, yet another aspect where
Mhm.
she's like, this is how this guy's mind works.
Screenwriting wise, it's a big point A and even kind of a difficult point A for your character to be at, so you can bring them to the what is broadly viewed as a very impactful and powerful point B at the end of the movie.
Mhm.
Thank you for saying broadly.
Yes,
They're
yeah, I know
inclusive.
it's not shared by everybody. I know that for certain.
I think
and it's not just you. I have seen people on film Twitter being like, there's so much emphasis on making Agnes like this earthy Mother Nature kind of figure that it just, like you pointed out, this is I literally saw this earlier today. It was like it makes her feel stupid in that play scene.
it's
It was
awful.
like,
It's awful.
who acts like this?
I don't think it makes her seem stupid at all. I think that we have to.
I do.
That's fine. I think we have to go back to an exchange they had earlier in the film. There is this resentment that is built up towards his return trips to London. And I think that this is where, to me, the ellipsing is effective, because it feels like the moment that Will returns home, Will is off to leave again.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think that, again, that to me reinforces me as the viewer in the position of Agnes. And Agnes makes this accusation against William, where she talks about how the world that lives in your mind is more real to you than the world you have here with us, and that not even the death of our child is able to change that. This is sort of a confrontation they have shortly before we get into the real Hamlet portion of the film.
Hmm.
And so Agnes is stepping into the Globe Theater first off, under the impression that her husband's
Very wary, yes.
very, very wary, very angry towards what this institution represents, this externalization of this world in her husband's head, as she attacks him with. And then she has the death of her of her son being commercialized. And it's not that I don't want
Yeah,
to be reading
certainly.
too much into the movie that's not on the page, because I think part of the point I'm trying to reaffirm for in my position on Hamnet is that there is a lot on the page. It's just in the scene direction, because
Sure.
I think that the vivid detail with which we depict the trauma and the horror of the death of Hamlet, which is really well performed also by the kid.
Jacoby Jew.
Jacoby
Yeah.
He's
Jew.
like he's convulsing and he's crying and he is it's
But
very
I'll
hard.
add to that that the parts that come kind of after he's dead and he's in the in between. I mean, we're literally looking through the veil at him, right? Like we have
Hmm.
this thing in front, and he's in this kind of limbo state. Those parts too, like that,
Yeah.
where he's asking for his mom. He's fearful. I mean, this is like really,
Yeah, this is all stuff that I like in the movie.
yes.
By the way, I think that stuff on the stage is quite good.
Mhm.
It casts his death as something that is like almost unspeakably intimate and
Mhm.
unspeakably horrifying. I think
Hmm.
because that is what we see, and then we sit with these accusations and dialogue that Will just was able to absolve himself of that. He didn't have to be there for that. To step
Yep.
into this performance that is twisting that death and that life into this play that bought him the biggest house in Stratford, um,
Yes.
makes me understand this anger that Agnes has. I don't read it as her not being like, wait, what the fuck? Like my son
I
is
see
dead.
that
What's
this is
going on
like
here?
what I agree with you
Yeah,
because like yeah,
yeah.
she's
Yeah. Sure. Sure.
clearly
Sure.
very pissed about the situation. She's pissed
It's
when she shows
anger.
up and
I
his house is
agree.
like shit, right? It's like the house is tiny and she's like what's going on here? Why does the guy
Yeah.
who has so
She.
much money
This.
live in this
Mhm.
crappy place? And that's like the first moment where the doubt of like what's really going on in
Yeah.
Will's mind here, and we're in the audience being clued into that. Well, yes, that Shakespeare's writing and all this a outlet of the grief, but that his dealing with the grief is a lot deeper than Agnes has been
Because
internalizing.
this is something that was that I watched this with Anna last night that she brought up that was like that we kind of talked about as this was going on, in the lead up to this Hamlet closing sequence, wherein we were talking about like yeah, like Anya's and everybody in town must just think that Shakespeare goes off to London, like probably parties, yucks it up, drinks,
Cheats,
hangs out with a theater buddy, cheats, most likely. Like you can kind of feel all of that in Agnes's assumptions when she's going to London with what is her brother's name?
Richard.
Joe Alwyn's
No,
character,
not no
Richard.
no. It's
Thank
Joe
you.
Alwyn
I
plays
want to say
No,
Bartholomew.
Gideon, but
He plays
all right.
Bartholomew.
I don't know why I said Gideon.
Bartholomew.
Gideon's
Yeah.
from Resident Evil 9.
Uh, classic mistake. But like I said, I was just sort of saying like these ideas about Agnes and the performance in this moment are out there. I don't necessarily agree. Like I said, whenever I watch it, I'm just a little poisoned by like bad theater etiquette jokes permeating my brain when I'm watching that sequence. But like by and large, I'm like, I understand character wise why Agnes is so wary and so like angry at this. Up until this moment, up until they leave for London, she thinks that Williams is like just making another one of his silly comedies in London. Like that's what she says. When is that her stepmother or whatever who talks to her before they
It's the
leave?
presumptive mother, the one
Um,
who she's like, "You're not my mom."
Yeah, exactly. She's like, "Oh, Will, he's making a comedy in London," and this woman says, "Well, he's not making a comedy." She says he's not making a comedy, but you already know that. And I literally wrote that line down. It's like she just said that he was making a comedy. Why would you say you know that it's not a comedy when she just said it is? I don't know. It's a really weird line in my mind.
Hmm.
But like that is what Anya thinks he is doing until they leave for London and she sees the playbill that's like the tragedy of Hamlet or whatever. At which point she's like, he's making a play about our son and didn't tell me and like willfully kept it a secret from me. Like what the fuck is going on here?
Hmm. And it's through her watching the play that this is the obvious point that she comes to a greater understanding. The thing that I kind of am the idea that I like about this. I'm a little unsure if this is textual or not, but fuck it, I don't care. That
Uh-huh.
we know what the play of Hamlet is. The book that this is based on is fully like
It's Lion King.
yeah, it's Lion King. And so to think then that this grief, this struggle, this drama that is dealing with these quote unquote real life of the characters that would inspire this play that is known the world over.
Hmm.
Immortalizes Hamnet. And I think that the scene that you brought up earlier, Abram, where everybody's reaching their arms forward to the performer, who's got the blonde dye, this creepy
Yeah.
looking. I shudder to imagine what that is. But
it is Noah Jupe, by the way, who's the older brother in real life of Jacoby Jupe, who plays Hamnet.
right. So that's actually pretty cool. I almost feel like I could have I got that essence in the movie. Of their similarities, at least, although I didn't think that they were brothers. But the meta knowledge that we all have that Hamnet / Hamlet, as we're explained in the beginning, the same thing,
Yeah.
becomes immortal, becomes this,
Yeah.
is not this kid, is not their son, but is in a different way representative of their son and would go on to live, well, for the rest of human history, I'll say. I mean, maybe we forget Hamlet one day, and Tucker will be very happy, but maybe we won't. I don't.
I think
Sorry, yeah, go ahead, Abram.
I feel like, Timo, what you're saying there is really reinforced by this moment of performance from Paul Mescal that I love when he turns back around and is saying adieu to his son, and it's this very intimate moment that, to me, as I'm watching this, is working very well for me, in that it is this scene that everybody's hanging on every word of, but because I am there, in through the eyes and perspective of Anius, it means something so much different and deeper. And there's this line very early on in the movie, when Will is recounting the story of Orpheus in the underworld.
And Eurydice.
Yes, very good.
This is a good pull.
And
another key to the movie right there.
And I want to particularly point our attention to the prelude to that story. I'm not very good at talking to people, so Will, why don't you then tell me a story?
Yeah.
And so we have that sort of recur in this Hamlet scene in the end, as he is in that moment talking to me and talking to Agnes. And I think that the film very smartly cuts to this very voyeuristic almost perspective of Will in a couple different modes. One is he is sobbing privately as the performance is ongoing, but then again, this moment that we cut to several times of him watching the crowd receive with the depth of emotion he's hoping for this story of his own son. And so I think that the end of the film is signaled to me in the beginning in his first his failure and then his mode of communicating with Agnes.
And the metaphor, the visual language of that tale of Orpheus and Eurydice is referenced many times throughout the film, where you have characters turning around, not turning around, looking, forward, backward. Like this, Zhao is like, I'm gonna put this thing that you're gonna think about at the beginning of the movie, and then you're gonna notice that I'm doing the visuals of it without telling you multiple times later.
It's good seeding, it's good setup and payoff. There's plenty of stuff like that. Like I mentioned earlier in the review, with the dark pit in the forest, and then the darkness of the doorway and everything, the stage door.
Is the dark pit in the forest the entrance
to
to the underworld?
I mean, even just to put a fine point on it, it is when he before we cut to this very intimate close up of the adieu and the heads up against each other, this father-son moment. William is walking away, but he looks back as Orpheus does, in this case, not leaving Eurydice in this other plane, but instead his son. I think that it's very clear in what it's doing.
He leaves
and how
his son
blocked.
in the realm of the theater, a different type of underworld.
Well, I very true. I got two things to say. One observation that I picked up on that I think is a neat implication, I will call it, maybe just a thing that exists in my head, regarding the entire crowd reaching their hands out towards the Hamlet actor at the very end of the film. Obviously, I think this film is in large part what Zhao is bringing to it is like how art can be just as useful a tool for processing emotions like heavy emotions like grief. We see that it obviously is for William, and Agnes recognizes that. But I think that what clicked for me is that the entire crowd does that. I kind of pondered why, and then I remembered that this entire film is set amidst like a pestilence plague that is ravishing all of Great Britain. I'm like, all of these people have lost someone. All of these people have likely know someone who died of the plague. I mean, we see like the plague doctors carrying out bodies when Will is first
Oh,
like
in
walking
nasty,
around London or
fetid
whatever.
London. Ooh, don't want to live there.
Exactly. So that's just something that clicked for me. It was like, oh, this is sort of Zhao interpreting like maybe an implication that like all of these people are affected in a similar way to that Agnes and Will are affected by this, but they are, this is far more personal for them, but it's applicable to everyone else in this theater, as it is, all art is applicable to everybody on some level. Second thing, but somewhat of a minor gripe, if you want to call it that, is the nods and the winks, I would say, less egregious than something like Shakespeare in Love, but there's just some sweaty stuff here that just makes my skin crawl just like 10%. Like when after Will and Agnes meet for the first time, he like goes home and writes Romeo and Juliet or whatever the fuck.
Mhm.
Or the one that really got me the first time I watched it and didn't fare much better on a rewatch.
I think I know
is
what you're talking about.
when he like the suicidal ideation to be or not to be. I was like, okay,
We're seeing the
all
movie.
right.
We're seeing the movie.
Yeah. I was like, what? Truly, why is that here? Because I think it works so much better when Noah Jupe is performing it on stage as Hamlet. Because they do the whole, he does the whole monologue on stage.
Yeah.
That and it's underscored by this. I forget who does the score here, but it's underscored very well. And I think that whole last sequence is really, really well directed. Shakespeare that is incorporating looking out at the
Max
crowd and looking at Agnes
Richter
and everything like that.
Is this component?
Max Richter, thank you. But yeah, I think it's far more effective there than it is when we're in like when he's like looking out at the ocean and maybe gonna throw himself into it in saying to be or not to be.
Oh yeah,
that's just a
and
little.
that scene isn't shot in a way where I didn't get the stakes of it until it was done. I was, like the way that we get into the scene of like seeing that he's standing on the precipice. It's like not until he walks away from the
Mhm.
wall that I'm like, oh. I mean, maybe I'm stupid, but like that. Yeah, that scene was not.
Paul
Yeah,
couldn't save that one. Paul can't save
as
it.
as Abram says, worst scene in the movie by far, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just looking through my notes to see if I have anything else. Anybody else? Any closing thoughts? If we want to wrap up, that is.
Yes.
I don't want to force us towards an ending.
I feel like I've hit on a lot of what I wanted to say.
Yeah, I think my opinion has raised from mixed
Sure.
bag on the negative side to mixed bag on the positive side. So it's still not in the like glowing love it, which unfortunately for this film's ranking, there were couple many films this year that were like glowing I loved it. So yeah, I mean, should we just Tucker, you got anything else, or should we give it a score? And then we could talk turkey, talk politics, and
Talk turkey.
Jesus Christ.
it's one of my favorite lines from
Um,
Lawrence of Arabia when they teach King Faisal to say talking turkey. It's just great. It's just a great part.
I do have just two very quick thoughts.
Oh, and we got to hear the nominations too. We almost forgot.
Of course. I really like all the stuff, just the domestic life stuff, when Agnes
Like the
and
pastoralism
Will and
of
their
the film.
kids. Yeah, when they're all at home and they're putting on their little plays and they're digging up roots or whatever and doing play sword fighting, I'm like, this is really cute stuff and like the effective groundwork that needs to be laid for the tragedy to feel real, certainly. So that's where I come at that from. Also, on the back end of that, there's a very good line from Buckley that is that when her and Will are arguing about he's kind of like, "Hey, I got to go off to London. Like, I know you've had a rough time. It's been a year." And she immediately responds back with, "A year is nothing. It's every second, every minute, and every day." That like I'm like, that's a really interesting way to like consider grief. Is not like the amount of time that has elapsed since like the tragic incident, but like the incremental moments that pile up atop each other to make that amount of time.
Yeah, a study on grief, so to speak.
Paul Mescal's still my
Oh,
goat.
hey.
Last thing I'll say there.
Did they have little earrings like he's got back then?
Well, Shakespeare famously had an earring,
okay.
in all the drawings or whatever of him. Yeah.
I guess I didn't look that close.
Oh, also, it's crazy. It's crazy how much his dad looks like what you imagine William Shakespeare. I saw it. I'm like, that's where he got it from. It's crazy.
Okay, let's see here.
What is this movie?
Hamlet was obviously
nominations.
Nominated for Best Picture. Chloe Zhao got a Best Director nomination. Jessie Buckley is obviously nominated for Best Actress. Paul Mescal, notably absent nomination morning from Best Supporting Actor, did not get to that one. Got a Best Adapted Screenplay nomination, as we mentioned a couple of times, adapted from a book written by Maggie O'Farrell. Best Casting, you got the Jupe brothers in here.
The new award,
that's a pretty good spot of casting. Certainly the first year that's getting handed out. Will Hamnet come away with it? We shall see.
Probably not.
What else here? Probably not. Nominated for below the line stuff like production design, costume design.
Costumes were good. I mean, they didn't have that like Netflix polyester made in a factory look when they're supposed to be hand spun and of old timey vintage.
And that Max Richter score also got nominated.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I feel too strongly on any of those except for Best Actress.
Yeah.
Okay. Shall we punch some numbers in? See what this movie gets, and
Let's
to complete our ranking, we get to run through the whole list after this. So, in 3, 2, 1, go! Punch!
Boom!
Punch! Boom! Boom! I'm waiting on Abram.
Body blows,
I thought I did. Sorry.
Boom!
Oh,
there we go. And we have a number. Hamnet is going to receive a 6.9 from the BLB advisorial board. Oh, never mind. I made that up. 6.9 is the score. Point breakdown is Tug gave it a 3.8. I gave it a 7.1. Tanner 7.5. Abram flat 9. So 6.9 is the average. We have no ties. It's actually pretty easy to slot this one in. It's only going to move up just a little bit to in between F1 and Frankenstein down in the bottom third of the list. And so I will now remind you of what every single movie on our list got real quick. Starting from the bottom to just keep it suspenseful. At number 10, Frankenstein, 5.7. Hamnet, as we just said, is above that with a 6.9. Then we got F1 and Bugonia tied at 7.5. But let it be stated that the official ranking does have F1 below Bugonia. Following that, at spot number 6 is Train Dreams with a 7.7. And then Marty Supreme beats that 7.7 with another 7.7 to have the 5th spot. Now, the fourth film on the list, the fourth best film according to us from this year, The Secret Agent with a 7.9, and then above that, Sentimental Value, 8.8, One Battle After Another for spot number 2 at 9.5, and then 0.1 points above it, Sinners, 9.6 to be one of the highest scores we've given a nominee ever.
Certainly.
And at the top of our 2026 Best Picture nominees ranked list. So
just for a little bit of fun, just for a laugh, where did it was just an accident slot in, because we did review that.
Oh yes.
Accidentally for this sub show, but it's fine. So I had to review it for regular Pomodoro show anyway. But I can't find it. Did we delete it?
No, it was
No,
just an
I got it.
accident. Got an
It got an 8.
8.1, and so
Mhm.
that would have put it in between Sentimental Value and The Secret Agent, so at the 4th spot on our list.
Yeah.
Had it been nominated
Hypothetically speaking. Mhm.
In Minecraft.
in Minecraft.
In Minecraft.
So should we just have a little round table here? Go around, shout out some
Yeah, so
some
we-
locks, some make sure to bet
Mhm.
online on these kind of
Yeah.
ones.
we can hash it out with the big race at the very top. I mean, we put Sinners at number 1,
Mhm.
very closely, just a nose above One Battle After Another. And I want to actually throw it to you guys and see what your thoughts are. The Oscars happen in 10 days. All the major precursors, excluding the WGAs,
Mhm.
have happened at this
But
point.
this year, this
I
year
know
we
you guys
wanna
don't
care about the
yeah.
WGA. They don't have. They're
But like the screenplay races are basically decided at this point anyway.
When is WGA?
your
There's no
guys'
time.
What?
When is WGA? Is it this week?
It's probably this weekend, I would have to assume. But in your guys' opinion, in the vibes that you're feeling out there in the world, the real world that you exist in, you're not just all figments of my imagination. What does it feel like is winning Best Picture in 10 days? Sinners or One Battle After
You can't
Another?
do that because that's what I've been telling people. People ask me this question, and I say I don't know. It's
Yeah.
one of that. It's one of that or one of the other. I think it's
If you guys
toss up
have an
right
answer,
now.
if you guys
I think it's
I have an
if you
toss
guys
up.
are feeling a vibe out
Okay,
there.
I have an
Everett, what do you
answer.
say?
One
Okay.
battle. I think people are making it too
Okay.
complicated. I think
Okay, fair enough.
I'm a subscriber to the Big Picture podcast, and
Yes,
I'm
of
a
course.
subscriber to the idea that people just need to do their Oscars punditry. But One Battle has the motion, and a couple late arrivals of wins for Sinners isn't going to change it. Even though I
Okay.
love both of those movies, I think One Battle just has it. I think it's as simple as that.
Mhm.
Sure.
I go 70-30.
Tucker, any thoughts?
70-30.
70-30? Tucker, any thoughts? Are you feeling a toss-up, or are you feeling one particular way or the other?
I think that if I want to be accurate, I'll say that One Battle After Another will win. I think
Okay.
that's a safer pick. But
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that I don't also feel that there hasn't been motion for Sinners, and I do think that most people get their voting in late, and I do
Yes.
think that
The day that we're recording this, March 4th, is the last day that you can vote on the Oscars.
okay, interesting. So literally WJ
Mhm.
can't.
No, exactly.
But I do think that late momentum is very, very important. I actually think that early momentum is sometimes a detriment, as we've seen in
sure.
many Oscar
Maybe Marty
seasons, something
Supreme
become
suffered from that this time around.
yeah, might have, yeah.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
And so I think that when it comes to Oscars night, I will put Sinners because I think that late momentum. And I think the vibes for me are that an upset is likely.
It's gonna happen.
But it's like okay, what am I gonna say is more likely? It's probably One Battle. It's got the precursors.
Well, here's
Yeah,
the thing. And this
the
is something that was pointed out
meta-drama.
on. Yes, the meta drama.
That's very important for the Oscars. Frank.
It's so important.
Um,
And you know what? If it's benefiting a movie that I really liked, and for us to have the chance to be right for
Mhm.
once, come on.
Yeah, that actually is the thing that's maybe not.
True. So I'm pulling this information from the most recent episode of said Big Picture podcast, where there was a little bit of research done, wherein One Battle After Another has the strongest pre-win package going into Oscars night, where it's won PGA, it's won the BAFTA, it's won Critics' Choice, it's won Golden Globe. It has really not lost a major acting prize a major prize at any major televised awards show until Sunday night when Sinners won Best Acting Ensemble. And so Sinners now has, the SAG Ensemble, an Ace Eddie Award, and will likely have, which is an editing body, and will likely have a WGA going into Oscars night. And a film with that combination of awards has never lost Best Picture.
Wait, the Sinners combination?
the 3 awards I just listed out for Sinners, that combo of 3 has never lost
See,
Best Picture.
this is why I'm like
But also,
50-50.
One Battle After Another has a trophy case of things it's towing behind in its little Red Rider wagon going
Here's
into
what I-
Oscars night. So
Stats
what do you
exist
wait
to be
more?
broken. Like that's a
Yeah.
stupid fucking thing of like, oh, these 3 things as opposed to all the other ones. Like, you're right.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's never happened before. Okay. So
I also just think that, like, sometimes you got to put the data to the side. You got to use your heart, right? You got to use your heart.
Sure.
My heart is telling me that the way that One Battle only becomes more prescient as the United States government becomes more openly fascistic in the very ways that One Battle After Another depicts has continued to give it I think a very important quality to it. I think it's a very motivating movie. I think
Yeah.
that it's a politically motivated movie. It's not just like, oh, wow, isn't it amazing that it reflects our time? It does, but I also think that it excites people to participate however they can in acts of political organizing, be it going to protest, be it contacting their representatives, be it just being vocal. I think it's a very galvanizing movie. And so I think that it
Bob
reflects.
Ferguson would never contact a representative. Way too scared to do that.
That's a good plan. But
Yeah.
here's what I ultimately side more with Abram, that like I feel like it's all just too much. It's too much punditry, and everybody is saying that this award season has gone on way too long. It's insane that the Oscars are nearly like almost 2 weeks out yet.
Guys, wait, hold on. There's one last thing we forgot to consider for Sinners.
What's that?
Scary Movie 6 trailer referenced and considered a couple times, and that came out just before.
True.
No, the reception of that Scary Movie trailer, does that help or hurt Sinners?
It just shows cultural impact. That's what I'm saying.
It's certainly true. Certainly
James
true.
Cameron could never.
I'm gonna put One Battle After Another on my Oscars ballot on Sunday. Probably, most likely. I think that is, it just. I think the idea that it's time to crown PTA after 30 years of work, and it's not like everyone's like, well, Sinners won SAG Ensemble. I was like, didn't we all just assume that was going to happen like for the past 2-3 months? Like, I don't think that's a really unexpected win for Sinners, but I digress. I do want to talk about, if we can move on from Best Picture, since we all have our thoughts out there, the more unexpected win that happened on Sunday that may provoke or point to a sea change happening at the Oscars. Hold the line on, Abram. Are you holding the line on Best Actor going into next Sunday?
Yes.
So Timothée Chalamet was obviously considered to be the favorite for a long, long time. The BAFTAs happened, where Robert Aramayo won for the British film I Swear, which is not eligible at I don't think eligible at any American awards shows. And then at the SAG Awards, the Actor Awards, excuse me, Michael B. Jordan won in a electric moment, I would say, electrically viral moment. Michael B. Jordan won that award. So what do you guys think? Timothée Chalamet still, or is does the Sinners momentum maybe not get to Best Picture, but does that boost Michael B. Jordan to Best Actor win?
I think Michael B. Jordan's a lock. I think.
Okay. Wow. All right.
I'm like, I think, is it really my favorite male performance of the year? It's up there. It's top 3, I think. And so does it beat out Timmy? In my mind, maybe. But if I take all this extra stuff, if we're playing politics here, 100% he does.
I think the other thing to consider is that the acting award, the actor awards,
yes,
giving it to MBJ is that they are almost. Yeah, well, I would say, like, most people voting for that are also going to vote for the Oscars in some capacity, and the actors are the biggest part.
The acting guild is the biggest sect, the biggest guild in the Academy. Though it is also worth noting that, like, the actor, the SAG as the union that votes on the actor awards, includes a lot of people who are not like Hollywood Academy Oscar voters. Yeah.
Don't I know? He says. I remember watching those screeners.
I don't need to actor explain to you at all. But no,
Can you imagine? Tanner, look me in the eyes. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if my mom got to vote for the Oscars?
Whoa!
Can you imagine? Your life would be so different.
It'd be. I would. It'd be. So
I'm sorry I
important. It'd be the
put
most
this in your
important thing
mind. You're
my
gonna be
life.
thinking about this for the rest of your days.
Yeah. But yes, so I think I still go Timothy Chalamet, though I'm a lot more open to flip flopping on actor than I am on Best Picture for these reasons. You know, I think that MBJ, you know, he's got a longer history of work than Timothy Chalamet does, and you know, there's this whole thing about, but at the same time, like nobody has ever won the SAG Actor Award 2 years in a row, and Timothy won it last year. So I'm like, is that just a thing where they didn't want to give it to him again, and the Oscars will just revert to Timothy Chalamet again? I don't really know. I think I'll still opt for Timmy just because I don't know if it's that powerful yet. But anyway, those are the two big contentious races.
Abram,
I would
what do you
say.
think?
Sorry,
Well,
go ahead.
well, I
Adrian.
was just gonna say because I
Oh,
want.
you said hold the line. Sorry.
But I do go Timmy. I just wanted to put out here on the
Okay,
record that I like Michael B. Jordan is in my top 5 favorite actors, but Timmy's my number 1. So I'm here manifesting a Timmy win. But I also
Clash of the
think that
Titans in your head right now.
100%.
Yeah.
I think that what Michael B. Jordan does in Sinners is incredible, but I just like the idea of Timothy Chalamet getting the Oscar now. I think that
Yeah.
I think that
Well, that's the thing. People are like, are they going to Leo him where he's not
I don't
going to win
think they're
until
going
he's
to.
45?
I don't think
He's
so.
gonna have so many more opportunities, though.
He's going to
He
be
could be
nominated like
nominated in the next 2
every
years,
He's
man.
going to be nominated for
I-
every year.
Leo had plenty of opportunities,
Well, yeah.
between fucking Titanic and The Revenant, and they never gave it to
I
him
just-
until he climbed inside a bear or whatever.
I just think that like Marty Supreme is a really cool movie to win it for. I think that is
Yeah.
like a really special performance. I think it is like not only I think is the craft very strong, but the way that it has a meta narrative of him embodying that character is very cool. And I just think that movie is not going to win anything else. So I would like it to get something, and I think Timmy is a great thing for it to get an Oscar for.
Bugonia gets my shout out for another movie that's not going to win any awards at the
True.
ceremony.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
not going to
Can we
get
do
any.
snubs?
Sorry?
Can we do snubs before we close? We don't have to do it right now, but there's a couple I want to shout out.
So yeah, absolutely. But I'll just run through the above the line stuff, just
Sure.
for things you can lock in.
Yeah.
Let's say that director, it's PTA. It's always been PTA. It's going to be PTA. Lock it in. Right? Engrave that shit now, Academy. Actress, we said it a number
sending
of
my
times
life
on this
savings
episode.
to the bookie.
Exactly. Actress, we said it a number of times. It's Jessie Buckley. Start engraving that shit now. Supporting actor and supporting actress are a bit tougher, especially actress. Actor, it's seeming like is just going to be Sean Penn again. We're going to give him the third Oscar. We're going to give him his third Oscar for playing, Colonel Stephen J. Lockjaw.
What's the record? Is 3 like a lot? That seems like a lot to me.
3
Yeah.
3 is a lot. I think Katharine Hepburn is the record at 4.
Okay.
For one performer. Though Stellan Skarsgård is powerful. The Academy clearly liked Sentimental Value on nomination morning. Benicio still is also like a dark horse, but it's looking like they're favoring Sean Penn out of those.
Mhm.
And then actress is kind of a 3.5 way race, I would say. Tiana Taylor, Wunmi Masako, Amy Madigan just won SAG Supporting Actress.
Yeah, I think
And
that's
then,
the toughest
again-
one of the night.
Yeah, and then they really like Sentimental Value with this 3-way race. Is like Inga Ipsdottir Lilius for Sentimental Value gonna surge ahead?
Probably not.
Probably not. But I don't know. I'm gonna go Tiana Taylor. I guess I'm just gonna follow my gut and where my gut has been leading me for a long time.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I would like that the most out of all of the wins.
Yeah.
Sure. And then screenplays are Sinners and One Battle After Another for original and adapted. Lock those in.
I got a below the line I want to shout out.
As do I.
What do you got?
Cinematography.
Snub or is it? Okay.
Just shout out the category.
Sure.
I don't know who's going to win it. I don't know what the inside track is here, but I think these are 5 beautifully shot films. Frankenstein, Marty Supreme, One Battle, Sinners, and Train Dreams. So 5 Best Picture nominees.
Yes,
Good
these
stuff, good
are
stuff.
great. Greatly shot.
I-
Probably One
I-
Battle if I had to give it to one of them for me.
I think so.
That car chase
Because
sequence.
they went over up the hills.
They went over up the hills
up and down.
Vision.
It looks so good. I don't know. I would be actually happy with any of these winning.
Mhm.
Maybe I wouldn't be
Sure.
happy with Frankenstein winning, but just because
Yeah,
I don't
probably
like that
not.
movie
I
very
wouldn't.
much.
I wouldn't like that. To be clear.
Also, sorry,
One
I
battle
get
after other never went.
That's true.
That's
you
true.
know?
Aspect ratio change in Sinners goes nuts. That's
goes
true.
nuts. Of
Also,
course,
shout out Autumn Durald Arcapa. I guess we're just like
Yes.
a feeder program for the Best Picture podcast, but there's a great interview with her on that show. You should listen to.
The first sound, of course, below the line that I was going to bring up.
Oh yes, of course.
The two frontrunners right now, of course, to remind you of who's nominated for Best Picture winners: F1 Sinners, One Battle, and Frankenstein, and then Seurat also got nominated. F1, from my research, is the current head. I actually don't really like that because racing movies always get positioned in a good Best Sound category, and like, come on, like Ford v Ferrari, way better sound editing, way better in sound than F1. I was not super pleased with the sound design of that one. So personally, I'm going to say Sinners, but I do understand that the front runner and all these dumbass Academy voters hear loud engines and thumping, original score, and they go, wow, best sound. So let's hope it's not F1.
All those dumbass sound professionals. What the hell is wrong?
Can I just
Careful, Timo. Those are your peers.
Oh, yeah. So the CAS awards haven't happened yet. They happen after the Oscars, so we don't get to know. We don't get a lot of precursor information on that award. So go with your gut.
Sure.
Go with Sinners.
I want to do the snubs that are in my heart. Not that these ever had a chance of happening, but just in my heart if I got to do the nominees.
Let's rattle them off.
Just want to rattle them off really fast. Best Director for Danny Boyle. Best Editing for 28 Years Later.
Best Cinematography,
28 Years Later. And Best Supporting Actor, Ray Fiennes. So let me get all that out of the way. And then I got a couple other random ones. Give me Best Original Screenplay for Eddington. That was never going to happen, but
that's fun. That's fun.
I rock with it. I rock with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is like, just shoot me in the head for even suggesting this. Liam Neeson, Best Actor in The Naked Gun.
He's really funny. He's really, really funny in that movie.
It's my shout-outs. That's what I would change about the Oscars.
I dig it. I can dig it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could literally go through all my categories and who my personal picks are. So I will just simplify it all down to, for your consideration in all categories, Park Chan-wook's No Other Choice, my favorite film of 2025. Come on, man.
Come on.
Where's the fucking love? Not even international feature? Come on, dog.
Yeah. Nobody's doing super imposition like Park Chan-wook is doing.
Fucking director, cinematography, editing, screenplay, adapted screenplay, actor, supporting actress, any of this stuff would be quite worthy. Though I don't know if you guys heard, and this is important for now that we've wrapped up the Best Picture nominees, he will be the jury president at this year's Cannes Film Festival.
Whoa!
So we're gonna get some PCW influence over whatever wins this year.
I hope it's a good influence.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there we have it. I mean, anything else to say about the race in general? We won't. This is our final chat before the ceremony happens on Sunday.
Ceremony plans. Anybody doing anything special for it?
Absolutely.
We watching
absolutely
Loud and
Abram.
Proud.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
I think
You watch it?
What?
Yeah.
Am I gonna watch it?
People over? Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you gonna watch it, Abram?
I don't
You
know.
gonna follow it on Twitter?
I think I'm gonna. Here's what I'm gonna do. Because I'm gonna be at my parents' house, and like they're gonna go to.
Sure.
What time does the Oscars start?
For you, it would be 7 o'clock, I think.
Okay, my parents go to bed at about
I've been asleep
7:30.
for a couple hours.
So I'm probably here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to play Pokemon Pokopia, and I'm gonna refresh discussing film.
There you go.
Ceremony ends. Put on the live episode of the Big Picture podcast on Netflix.
There you go, on Netflix. That's a good plan. I like that plan.
Great. Sounds like fun. Well, we will be back after the ceremony to discuss that. We will come back with
discussing the winner.
Discuss the winner. Yeah, who knows? And then after that, we will continue with our regularly scheduled programming. I guess a new season. Technically, this is our season break.
Yeah, season break,
Whatever.
if you want to call it that.
This is.
I mean, I've crunched the numbers. The last calendar year until we finish the Palme d'Ors as well.
Yeah. I mean, we're over halfway done with that. And this is the 5th year that we did Best Picture nominees. So we got a little under 50 nominees under our belts of the ones that we just watched during the year. So
can I ask one final question? Final question.
Yeah, what's
go
up?
for it.
What's up?
Did the whole slate now, 5 years in a row doing the slates. What's your favorite slate the last 5 years of Best Picture?
That's
nominees?
a great
22.
question.
Ooh.
Well, I got to review
22.
here a moment.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
22. We always
Like,
talk
it's
about
not even
22
close.
as being crazy strong.
It's not even close.
The 20, yeah,
The
2020
the nominees for 2023.
Okay,
Right,
yeah.
So
2023.
your Top Gun Maverick, your Everything Everywhere, Tar, Fablemans, Banshees, Avatar, Elvis, Women Talking, All Quiet on the Western Front,
Triangle of
Triangle of
Badness.
Sadness. You can't win them all. You can't win them all.
Like Triangle of Sadness is like the weakest one there. It's like, oh, that's fine.
Oh, it's a really tough one for the.
The next year
next
though
year's
is
really
really is
good,
also
too.
really good.
It's like
I mean, the lowest score we gave out the average score we gave out for the movies of 2023, the 2024 noms was a 7.5 for American Fiction. American Fiction, a good movie.
Yeah, very good movie. Yeah.
I think on the whole, like that, there's not a bad movie in that slate.
Yeah.
Like
You don't think Trial
I
of
wouldn't
Sadness is
consider.
bad, Tanner?
Was it? What'd you say?
You don't think Trial of Sadness is a bad movie?
I think it's kind of annoying, and I like it less every time I watch it, which has unfortunately been like 4 times at this
Yeah,
point.
that's
So
true.
I think my favorite is the 2023 movies 2024 noms. Just looking at that
So your
slate.
Past Lives, Killers,
And-
Anatomy of a Fall, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Holdovers, Barbie,
Barbenheimer.
Zone of Interest,
I mean, yeah,
Maestro,
yeah.
American
That
Fiction.
was quite a year.
Carolina.
Yeah.
I also want to give a shout out to the slate in 2022 because Dune and Drive My Car and Power the
Yeah.
Dog, but there's a lot of shit in that list that I don't like
Yeah.
or is boring.
Well, yeah.
King Richard. Remember that one?
Oh
I
yeah,
don't.
Jesus Christ. Oh my god.
I heard.
Is that the most
that-
forgettable movie that we've reviewed so far?
Ooh, that's
It's
a good
certainly
question.
up there.
One of them. Well, reviewed
But
so
yeah,
far is a
I heard-
lot of
but-
movies, but
No,
Minari is
an
down there
erroneous-
too.
oh
Sorry.
yeah.
I heard an erroneous rumor that Will Smith slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars that year. Is that true?
I don't think so. That's probably AI generated.
Oh, okay. If that's true, I would have heard about it.
Actually, most nothing movie Mank.
True.
Ooh, hey now, that's a Fincher joint. You keep
Oh.
his name out of your mouth.
You know what? Never mind. I forgot we
You-
reviewed that. I was about to
you
say,
try-
oh, that was a
you
2018
trash
movie.
You will trash Mank, of course. You're thinking, no, never mind. Wait,
I was
no,
thinking Vice,
Gary Oldman, Darkest Hour.
Darkest Hour. Was that a best picture
Andy's
nominee?
Mank. Yes, it was. You trash David Fincher now and his Mankisms, but where will you be when Adventures of Cliff Booth drops on Netflix? Where will you
But
be?
in
Will you
C,
be on
I'm
your
gonna be
couch
button
watching
C.
it?
I'm gonna be watching.
You be BIS, baby.
Cliff Booth, Adventures of Cliff Booth is the real toss of the coin for me. Because
Okay.
I feel like I get older. This is a passage of time, I guess. And I
Certainly.
rewatch more Quentin Tarantino movies and I'm like, man, I fucking hate this guy.
Well, he's not directing it. He just wrote the
But the-
teleport.
Yeah, but he's
the-
gonna be
the
hanging out on
writing-
set. We know this for sure.
And then
He's
you
hanging
watch
on
more and more of
television.
David Fincher movies, the newer ones, you're like, this guy doesn't have the sauce anymore.
Hey now,
Look-
quiet. You shush up.
What about the
Killer's
Killer's
okay.
good. Killer's good.
It's
The Killer's really good.
When was the last time you thought about The Killer?
I think
Like,
about the
two days after you
cheese
watched
grater kill and the Killer a lot.
Every time that I
Well,
look
the
at
cheese
David
grater kill
Fincher's
in
In Tenet, the best movie ever made. In Tenet, the best movie
Yes.
ever made. All I have for
You
you is a
ordered
word
hot
to
sauce an hour
gesture.
ago.
I think
Go
that
to this
the
hot
new
sauce an hour
Board of
ago.
Peace needs to hand out like a
David
movie
Fincher
of
made
all
Tenet.
time award, like just one award. Board of Peace. Kazakhstan says that Tenet, best movie of all time, declared by the Board
What?
of Peace.
The
No.
fuck are you talking? We need to wrap this
No,
up.
it would be Borat.
True.
Oh yes.
This episode's still shorter than F1, I believe, based on
I
my
actually do
recording.
believe so. That's
That's
quite a
crazy.
doozy. Thank you
Okay,
guys for discussing the movie we talked about this time. I guess that movie was called Hamnet, directed by
remember
Chloe
it.
Zhao.
Hey, yep.
And
Yes.
as always, getting through all 10 Best Picture nominees. We'll be back next year to do it again. Nothing can stop us. And keep it tuned here for the wrap-up coverage of the Oscars.
Hang on. What's going on? What's going on with Abram?
Tenet, Quest for Bestest is like a temporal pincer mover because we're going forward in time and backwards through time through the movies
We
that
are
win awards.
absolutely doing that. You're right.
Temporal
Because we
pincer
keep up
mover.
to.
Cowboy shit.
keep
Quest
up
is
to date.
cowboy shit. What a fucking
That's
movie.
true,
I love
baby.
Tenet. Maybe I'll watch it again tomorrow.
And with that,
Like the fucking 7th time.
stay cool, keep warm. Peace.